Welcome to you all to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer stream, manga podcast and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, back from the dead to haunt you on Halloween, which is a few weeks away. Here alongside your non-undead host. Wow, that's a lot of prefixes. Dr. Hovin, Greil 9, and Greil 9. I forgot that Dr. Nova wouldn't be there. How are you guys doing this week?
Ooh, I don't know.
Really baffled by that non-undead thing. Like, does that mean I'm dead, or is that like I'm living, or am I in some sort of limbo state? Have I become Schrodinger's human?
I don't.
Some kind of uncertainty lich.
I'm all right. I just installed the Digimon mobile game, which is apparently a straight carbon ripoff of the Yu-Gi-Oh mobile game, because the Yu-Gi-Oh one's called Duel Links, and then Digimon released one's called Digilinks or Digimon Links. And
So
my
a card game.
Yeah, it's a bit different. But my friend was getting very mad about it on Twitter because he's a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy.
Well, it could be worse. It could be Digimon Go.
Digimon Go, oh lord.
Besides, Pokemon already has Pokemon Link, and they didn't sue Yu-Gi-Oh for that. Well, sue Konami or Upper Deck or Wizards of the Coast, whoever has that license.
Of course, I opened it. I was immensely disappointed to see that none of the iconic themes from the TV show in either the Japanese or English version made it into the final game. But it is all centered around Digimon, at least right now, from Adventures and Tamers, which are the ones I'm familiar with. So that's nice.
I only know it from Jacob Chapman's reviews.
Right. Yeah. No, I watched those, and I think I actually watched Tamers seasons 1 and 2, and no, sorry, I watched Adventure 02 and Tamers. So yeah.
Yeah, I did that too, but I never saw Tamers. I don't think they started airing that right after 02, and by the time they did, I was just out of Digimon.
Right. I think I also caught a couple of episodes of Battle Frontier, but at that point I just it was kind of hitting diminishing returns for me. Like, it's the third entirely new cast you meet, and I feel like at that point I'm like, okay, I can't really get into the swing of it anymore.
Wait, so Digimon also has a Battle Frontier?
I think it's called Digimon Frontier. It's not a Battle Frontier though. It's just that's just the name of the season. No, because basically
my favorite Pokemon game is Pokemon Emerald, and it would be
same.
such a.
No, basically the idea was, because in Tamers they introduced a feature called, I think it was called Spirit Digivolve, where the Tamers could like fuse with the Digimon to achieve the ultimate form. And then with Frontier, they basically decided, okay, we'll just base an entire season around that, where the base level Digivolution is Spirit Digivolve. But the main character was really annoying, though.
So I'm guessing that's what the Pokemon Rebirth was copying.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal for a while, but then it went completely quiet, and I almost forgot it.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget the tunes. I mean, Braveheart, Butterfly, Break Up, and even Beat Hit to a lesser extent.
But it's all about the Digi-Rap. I mean, the Digivolution is up and running.
You ever
Digi-See,
play that shit to me, and I will come over there
coming.
and rip off your ears so you never get tainted by it again.
With Digi-Will and Digivice in hand, and the Digi-Dynamic Force in Digiland.
Yo ho ho, took a bite of gum gum.
It's just like that.
So
I'll have to remedy this with some yo.
So I'm doing pretty okay, although I've been in a very hectic place these past few weeks. As I've said, I've been dead, and I am now posing as my own dead twin brother. No, that's Renee from Lower Low. I'm trying. I've had laryngitis, and I'm still kind of ill. I'm trying to balance my week schedules, which isn't looking too good. At the same time, get used to my job, which requires a lot of prep work, and also puts a strain on my voice since since I have to since I have to shout at brats a lot for 4 hours before the stream. So that's great timing. Well, the upsides are I'm getting better, and the work on my series has taken a few big steps ahead. So I'm very happy about that, even though it's required me to drink my whole way through Cartoon Forum. And oh yes, the European animation scene is drunk all the bloody time. Being a binge drinker myself, I couldn't go on after a few days. So,
jeez, sounds like my kind of scene.
So yeah, I was going to ask you, Milo, since well, would you have any advice for a binge drinker on how to survive those few days?
How to survive? Well, here's the thing: I don't really survive because my friends know me as 1 pint Hovin, because I'm a huge lightweight. So even though I do get drunk quite a bit, it's usually not on very much, and I've usually kind of had my fill after a certain amount. So I've never actually been blackout drunk. It's quite odd.
I haven't either, but it's just the strain. I'm not a lightweight, but but my stomach doesn't really work with me after.
Oh yeah, no, the hangover stomach ache, or not stomach ache, but just stomach upset.
Yeah.
You don't have any appetite the next day, right?
Yeah, and
yeah.
Yeah. So next time I visit the European animation scene, it should be pretty fun. So speaking of drinking,
yeah, and when you do, we need to organize the drunk cast.
Yeah. We're definitely.
So I'm guessing I'll be the one token sober person since I've been out of this the whole time since I never drink.
All right.
We need people like you, Greil. So speaking of drinking, which Zoro does a lot, One Piece.
Hey.
Perfect segue.
Wow, that was a clumsy crossover.
Get used to it because it's speaking of something is my catchphrase at the moment. That's how catchphrases work. People who do them just say they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is how entertainment works, I'm sure. Okay.
Well, let's get started. Chapter 881, A Wave Room. And looks like Don Sai and Baby 5 got married. Good for them.
Yeah, even so, he's not looking too happy. I love how last week Oda maybe just realized that, okay, maybe this makes Sai look like a bit of a jerk. So what can we do? Okay, the former fiance was supposed to have a reverse harem of sorts, and this is why she's upset that he won't marry her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like we've got a position on the ship that Jinbei could take. Some of the fans suspected it, but it really looks like he's going to be the helmsman of the crew.
Is this the first time it's been confirmed in the story? Because it was such a popular fan theory that I just kind of assumed it was mentioned at some point.
No, it's...
Well, he hasn't been part of the crew. I'd say he hasn't been on the Mary before this.
Mm-hmm.
So now he just uses his helmsmanship to surf the tidal wave.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm not sure if we've ever seen him behind the helm. Even so, it will allow Frankie and Chopper some freedom to do their jobs, which now kind of makes sense when you think about it. In the world of One Piece, a helmsman isn't really a position that a lot of weight in universe has been put on. Basically, anyone could do it as long as they have the strength to
Also,
handle
yeah.
the wheel. The only
Also, I think it makes sense as a progression in the same way that Frankie as a shipwright did, because Frankie came in response to their ship always getting busted up and eventually them having to leave their old one. And now they've moved to the new world, which allegedly has, tougher waters to navigate and huge storms, and a helmsman would be really useful in that sort of thing.
Yeah,
especially someone like Jinbei who can just grab a few ropes and then steer the ship directly.
Yeah.
Plus, being a fishman, he's probably also pretty familiar with how oceans work. So combine him and Nami, they're gonna go places.
Yeah. Up until now, we've only seen Jesus Burgess as a helmsman in the universe, I think. So, so the exact workings of the position haven't been specified, but yeah, it makes sense that Jinbei would serve that role, given how much control over the seas he has. So, good stuff.
Well, it's also a lucky break for Straw Hat, since it seems everyone else thinks that they're dead now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when they start breaking the mirrors, and Nami gets a pretty cool line of, "Those were the captain's orders. He's just putting her trust in Luffy."
Speaking of
they
which,
just think that water pressure crushing the mirrors.
Yeah. Speaking of which, really good art in that panel, right? Given that One Piece has a lot of characters, there isn't really usually much room for close-up shots. But man, when there are some, Oda makes them count.
Yeah. I was a little confused at first when Luffy covered up his mouth when he came along and he kept it all covered up. What was going on? But like the thing is that he kept it shut to conceal the pieces of glass, right? Of the mirror. Yeah, that's what I gather from it.
Oh, was that it?
Well,
I thought
that might be. Actually, yeah, his lips are bleeding in that one panel, so that does hint that he had at least some small shard of glass in his mouth.
So
yeah, now I see it. In that one panel, he's covering his mouth with no glass. Then next panel, the hand is off his mouth, and there are a few shards of glass on the floor.
So
shards of the mirror. Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah.
And then gives, I'd say that's a Corazon smile to his crew.
Yeah.
I took it as just him trying to keep up appearances that everything's fine, but I'm not sure whether that was the intention of the face.
Yeah, I just they were pretty similar. Also, when Karakuri says his next line, did anyone else think Joseph Joestar?
Yeah, given how detailed his manner of attire is, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a straight up reference.
Is this a
JoJo I doubt he's a straight up reference, but that part just I ain't planning on dying here is what you're going to say next.
I mean he does look JoJo-esque, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, he has the same scarf. He has a scarf, and that's also a part of Joseph's design. I do really like how this fight, it really does feel like Luffy is on the ropes again.
Yeah, I do wonder how he's gonna last for 10 hours.
Anyway, I think that covers all of my thoughts on the chapter.
Yeah.
It's kind of a transitional, but really good one, and I love to see what Jinbei is gonna do in this crew.
Yeah, it's really good characterization from Nami, development from Jinbei and Luffy, and yeah, really all around good chapter. So, shall we move on to Food Wars?
Yeah, let's. So, Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 234. Somebody pick up that phone, cause I fucking called it!
What did you call?
that Eizan was going to use some ingredient that would somehow ruin Aldini's dish.
Ah,
Yes, so while at first Eizan, just about it, while at first Eizan's plan seemed actually cool to me, when I thought it through, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So a lot of conditions need to be fulfilled in order for it to succeed. So you need to make sure no one else hands in the dish before you. You need to make sure no one else in this team Shokugeki, none of the other 4 people, hand the dish between you and Takumi. And while I may not be an expert in the art of gourmet tasting, shouldn't the judges wash their palates before moving on to the next dish in the first place? I mean, it seems like a bit of an obvious thing.
I think the first point you're right. The second one though, that's just not been an established thing in Food Wars ever. Like, we've had plenty of dishes. We've had other dishes. I can't recall specific where the way that one person's dish tastes affects the judge's perception of the other. Like, that has been a thing that's happened before.
Where?
I can't remember exactly. I guess like the Mimi Saka fights, kind of. But that's a bit of a looser example. I can't. That's the problem. I'm very bad at recalling specific Shokugeki and the specific techniques used, but I just feel like this has been used before.
Okay.
Well, I can't really call if
only Jonah was here, so we could confirm this.
Yeah. As for that first point, I disagree because last chapter Eizan seemed to only then come up with the idea after seeing what Aldini is doing. So likely he just figured out that I can improve my chances by altering my recipe a bit. And he saw that Aldini puts it into the oven at that point. So at that point, it's gonna be done in 10 minutes or so. So I'll just complete mine before him. And then I'll be just before Aldini.
Yeah, you still have to time it just right, and given that we have 4 other people in the mix, it just kind of.
Well, why could he not hand it before only just before Aldini, knowing that his pizza's gonna be in the oven for this long? It doesn't matter who's gonna go before them.
Well, doesn't it? Since that may influence their dishes in the first place.
I don't really see how it would.
Well, I mean, Momo and Megami, Tadakura's fights is going to be mainly pastry, so shouldn't that? I don't think that should go well with what Eizan and Aldini are making, but I guess they really made sure that their
it might actually go that he just lets Eizan do it, so he fucks up Momo's dish. Like, Eizan only cares about himself. So he hinders both his opponent, but also his own teammates. That would actually be pretty cool. Not to mention, we get another great Eizan face.
Yeah.
He looks like the Grinch.
Oh yeah, we get a bunch of faces actually, but yeah, it's absolutely.
How Eizan stole Christmas.
I'll probably write that for Christmas. Except probably not, since I'm really lazy. But I just hope Eizan sticks around for a long time, just so we can see more of those faces of his.
I'm trying to mimic the face, so maybe it appears in the thumbnail. Yeah. Oh god, the last one is terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Eizan Grinch face.
I mean,
No,
his nose changed completely.
Isn't it because of the angle?
I guess so, but it really looks more like Giulio than himself at this point.
Yeah. Also, I was going to mention that the judge didn't react to the dish in any way. Like they're shown tasting it, but we didn't get any reaction yet. That's kind of
Yeah.
unusual for the series.
I don't know. They may be saving it for next week.
But I think he's destined. Eizan is destined to lose, and do you know why?
Why?
Because unlike for the Soma match, he didn't take his glasses off, so he's not actually getting serious. Because that was like a whole thing. Like he just takes his glasses off when he's like, oh, I'm getting serious now with Soma, and he didn't do that in this one.
Yeah, but by the way, yeah, it really shows how much he's looking down on Takumi, and
Maybe.
I really like again the display of his psychological manipulation as he mentions his rival probably being better. Yeah, so I enjoy Eizan bad-mouthing Takumi, but I don't enjoy you guys bad-mouthing Takumi. I don't know why I'm so defensive about this character now, but I feel I need to defend him.
I kind of know what you mean. when there's a thing that lots of people hate on, want to see the good in it.
Maybe I'm just a contrarian. So, speaking of contrarians, let's move on to My Hero Academia.
Yeah, chapter 155. And this chapter gave us hope.
Oh yeah, they've arrived. They're here. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just get it over with, even though it's the last page. Uraraka, Asui, and that dragon lady, Ryokyu or something, all come crashing through the roof, literally.
So what happened? So what I'm wondering is what happened to, I believe Nene was her name?
Maybe she was the one to shoot them through the roof.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, jury's out on whether they'll actually do something useful. I really hope they do, but like, at least they're here. At least it doesn't feel like, we've just shoved them off to the side for the rest of the arc. They're actually coming back in to do something. I hope.
I'm skeptical.
Well, you're always skeptical.
Well, here's the. Wait, how did that say?
I mean, what I'm kind of hoping for with Overhaul is that because we're bringing all these characters together into one place, taking them down is going to be a group effort. Because you mentioned earlier how Toga and Twice are on their way to kind of interfere. So maybe it'll be a group effort from those guys, from the people who are already here, and from Uraraka and Tsuyu. I think that would be neat.
I really wouldn't count on it, but yeah, I guess I hope that's it.
I mean, like think about like how Stain was taken out that way. It was a three-way. It was a 3-on-1 match. So I don't think group matches are out of the question for Horikoshi.
Yeah, I'm just more concerned about his treatment of female characters in general. So it's not too bad, but I wonder if they're going to actually do something, or if they're going to be sidelined.
The thing is, I genuinely don't. I'm still not convinced that there is a female character problem, though. I'm still like on the fence as to whether it's that or it's just a character management in general, because he's given Uraraka and Momo character development in fights before, and Toga's been a very major focus of multiple arcs. So I don't know. I'm not kind of fully convinced either way, I guess.
I mean, it's only really been a problem in this arc.
I mean, I've mentioned it before that it doesn't really seem like that's compared to his male characters. Horikoshi really likes his female characters being hurt. But yeah, that's a minor point, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded because of some other.
I can see what you mean. Like your whole point of how like most of the cast in the female cast during the tournament arc were knocked out through ring outs,
Yeah.
rather than actually with sustaining physical damage.
Yeah, even.
Uraraka!
Yeah. Well, Uraraka. Did you see how the anime did it? I mean, she was barely wounded, and she still lost via ring out, didn't she?
I don't know about the anime, but I know that in the manga, she just collapsed after charging at Bakugo so many times and just getting.
I'm pretty sure the exact same thing happened in the anime. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because like the transition from black and white to color, they decided not to give her very visible wounds. But I get that's not like there isn't really much blood in a lot of the fights in that tournament, at least. So I don't think that's such an issue, really.
Well, maybe you should focus on talking about this chapter and not just like this is how the author handles their female characters.
I would mention though that I really like how one female character is handled currently, because this chapter hits very close to home to me. You know, I have someone in my life whose thought process is exactly like Aries, that they are the only one who can resolve the conflicts around them, even if they are the one who gets hurt in the end. That it doesn't matter if they get hurt in the process, as long as nothing bad happens to those close to them. Even if some things can't possibly be their responsibility. And worst of all, because of those around them, they don't feel like they can reach out for help. So I think Horikoshi captured that mentality stunningly, and because of this, my hero is my chapter of the week.
Yeah, it also has some pretty horrifying parts, like how Overhaul used to treat her, just like she's at her limit. Okay, I'll just reset her, reconstruct her, make her whole again, and that way her stamina will be back. It'll probably be traumatic and extremely painful, but, it's faster this way.
Yeah. It was...
Also, small tidbit we learned, although not as relevant yet, but we learned that Eri is the daughter of the big boss. The one who used to lead the whole mafia.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I've forgotten. Was the big boss the man who was like shape-shifting the whole?
No, he was the one in the bed.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering if they were the same person. I wonder if he's going to play a role. Maybe he'll be kind of something they look at more in the post arc rather than
probably, since
play a role
they seem to imply he's been out of commission for a long while.
Also, another thing, I know this is like intended as a reference to the city in America, but when he went Manchester Smash for his attack, I couldn't help but think of the city in England.
Me too. Mostly since I just think of Manchester Black.
Manchester Smash. One blow to the head.
And it also shows that Deku's not doing as well as Night Eye or Lumillion, because he's fast, but he's way more straightforward, doesn't look at predictions and such, so he's way easier to counter.
Yeah, this chapter has had some really good things. It was good to see the more human side of Mirio. I mean, his spirit is broken, his powers are now gone, and he has to realize he can't be Eri's savior. So, good stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't say his spirit is broken. I mean, even when he's about to pass out, he's still thinking about how to save Eri and trying to crawl, even though he's like, his vision is blurry, his body won't move. No, he feels like he's gonna pass out.
I get that he's trying, but he's not the Lemillion that he used to be. He's not. Well, To put it in Tamaki's words, he's not the son anymore. He doesn't exude that charisma that he used to, which is understandable given what happened to him. But yeah,
Well, yeah, his body's broken. He's lost his powers. I
Yeah.
understand why he's right now not feeling
Yeah.
very chipper.
yeah, it's.
I think I think he's due in for payoff for the end of this arc when he reunites with his teammates.
Yeah, it's really cool to see him even try to appear inspirational to Eri, even though he's not in a position to do so. Yeah.
And Midoriya still wishes to press on, even though Chisagi gets a really cool panel saying, like, you are unwanted. Like, he's not supposed to be in this situation. They just gave Eri just bleeding hope that he was gonna crush.
Yeah.
And then we have the whole panel of Asui, Dragon Lady, and Uraraka coming in through the ceiling, with Rappa's brother in tow.
Alright.
I've got to say, if you ever find yourself in a situation like Eri, reach out to your friends and family and to whoever you think will listen to you. And above all else, don't be afraid to ask for professional help. And I don't mean in a situation like Eri, like being the daughter of a Yakuza boss who's being experimented on for her quirk. I meant in that mentality of everyone. I can get hurt as long as no one else will. Yeah. So, speaking of PSAs, oh no, I've got a better segue. So, Chrono, one of the 8 bullets, takes off his mask and instantly becomes more memorable. Fancy that. Speaking of chronostasis, which both Chrono and Wizard King use, let's move on to Black Clover.
Yeah, chapter 128, the one who wins in the end. And almost immediately, a few of the fears from few of you at last time are put to rest, because Wizard King is just saying, like, yeah, let him fight right here, right now. Let him fight, but let's put him in chronostasis for now, so we can set up the battlefield. This is still the test.
I'm kind of. This is my only real complaint, really. Yeah, because that the fight is moving on a little too quickly. If this was part of the tournament and we had to wait for it, we'd have something to look forward to. But I don't know. I'm afraid that now everything may resolve a little too quickly. But I'm enjoying the chapter as it is.
Yeah, I'd say leading from last chapter, it kind of had to move on quickly. I mean, if you leave that simmering, then it's not going to have the same impact as it has from just the emotions the two are going through.
Oh, I don't know. I'd expect. I would compare it to Naruto versus Gaara, with kind of Finral being in a position like Rock Lee's. So
yeah, but at that time, it wasn't like Naruto was just fucking pissed at Gaara. I mean, in that way. And even then, Gaara was still kinda more guarded with his emotions, so it wasn't just a pure rage of, I gotta kill this guy right now. No, get out of my way, I wanna kill him.
Well, speaking of which, now that the situation has gotten serious, everyone's made a lasting impression on me. I'm enjoying Black Clover right now. I've enjoyed both Asta and Zora this week, despite not exactly liking them before. And also, the art may be growing on me, and I mean a lot. Tabata's faces were really expressive this week. Haven't you noticed?
I mean, Langris really hits it home on that front. And we get a rather intriguing concept that there may still be a traitor amongst them who doesn't even realize that they're a traitor.
I don't really get how the Wizard King came to that conclusion.
You guys are just keeping this kind of measured but clear praise on the series, and I'm just still here all just kind of salty at it just because my last exposure to it is a clip from the anime, because they had the first episode of just Asta yelling loads, and his voice sounds awful. It sounds like nails on the chalkboard. It's like if Naruto's Japanese voice sounded like his sub voice, like his dub voice. I mean, so I don't know. I guess I'm just a bit of a miser about this series. I may catch up with it again someday.
I mean, it should. I mean, his voice probably should sound annoying, given that he's an annoying character. But
Well, I mean, I'll quote Zero Punctuation to say, if they were going for annoying, then it should be congratulated, and then remind that purposefully annoying is still annoying.
Yeah, like I want a voice that will kind of make me less annoyed at him, you know?
well, I don't think any voice would kind of save him from that. But if you say so,
I'll send you a
Anyway.
clip.
Anyway, they're also mentioning that another goal with this exam was to put people into fights where they would have to put their all into it, and therefore they might reveal themselves as a traitor when they pour so much mana into the battlefield.
so the matchups have been predetermined. So that means the unbreakable team of Ben, Brad, and Eric will also have the important character arcs in this tournament saga.
Let it go.
Do you remember Ben, Brad, and Eric?
Are those guys going against a painted deer, dude?
I'm not sure, but I just recall the names, and it was well, among all those weird names, we just have this trio of jobbers, and I kind of love them for it.
However, the fight's also pretty brutal because, yeah, Asta can block some of the magic, but Langris is just putting out so much, like in his fight against Finral, that even Asta's getting hits, and so is their crystal. Mimosa is there to heal, but I'm not sure how much he can put into that.
Yeah, the weakness of Asta's style also makes sense in this fight. So as long as you have a shit ton of projectiles, you can overwhelm him. As I said before, I'm not really sure how the wizard came to the conclusion that Langris is an unconscious traitor. But one thing I'm sure of is I would like this conflict much more to be about the personal stakes between Asta and Langris. Putting the Eye of the Midnight Sun into the picture seems like a little too much, a plot point that might be kind of wasted on this fight. Don't you think so?
I kind of see that. I do believe that it's a good way to like put that in the background and give some more context to this exam, but also I do think that it could have stood on its own better if it was just about the emotions between the two characters. Hard to tell.
Maybe Langris is a red shirt and I'm just complaining for no reason.
You mean red herring?
Red herring, yeah. Yeah, I confuse things today for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty certainly not a red shirt.
Yeah.
Not to mention, they didn't know Langris is the unconscious traitor until this
he's going against Asta, so he might be a red shirt.
Red herring. Well, yeah, red shirt, but I don't think anyone with that personality is a red shirt. I mean, to be red shirt, you need to not have a name.
So, was this conversation between Asta and Finral in the manga? Because I don't recall it.
I don't remember either, but then again, I don't remember much of this series, so...
Yeah, I'm not sure whether I would like it if it's just something that was introduced right now, but... I could believe that the conversation may have taken place at some point, so I guess it's not too bad.
So, somehow, I've actually been liking Black Clover while it's been about Finral and Langris, or at least Langris.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
This
it's
feels weird. Like,
the past two chapters have been great, and they kind of I kind of enjoy Black Clover more than the Promised Neverland right now. Speaking of which, or do you have something else to add?
yeah, just if I go missing some week, just know I've probably just finally given in to the madness that's somehow seeping into my soul when I think these things, so I'll probably be back in a few years after getting out of the asylum.
So, speaking of madness, let's talk about Promised Neverland. So,
How do those two relate? Oh yeah, Billy
well,
Bob is a little mad.
well, we've got some pretty weird things written on that wall. Poachers
Yeah, like
and
I
all.
said, Billy Bob may be a little mad, but he's a good guy.
Yeah, I
Got
don't know why.
laughing.
I really don't know why the children wouldn't trust Billy Bob. After all, seldom do you skim through nice blokes like him, a gent of good intent who's content to swim. Master of the house in the
You
underground.
you might want to work on those lyrics before the podcast, not just come up with them on the spot.
I
Well,
did,
I
I did.
think-
Let me finish. Master of the house in the underground. Just look at the nicknames that he throws around. He won't kill the kids, cause they blow him up. Also, for some reason, he's afraid of a cop. He's a friend to all the children. If they stay out of his way, he won't give his name even to #Ray. Master of the house in the underground. Judging by his room, his mind is unsound. Poachers on the walls, monitoring farms, and behind his piano, a room full of arms. Everybody loves a landlord, everybody's bosom friend. He does whatever upsets Emma, won't she drive him round the bend? Now, that's all I have.
Yeah. Anyway, it's I'm glad that at the end of this chapter, Billy Bob introduces Emma and Norma to the hidden room from Danganronpa 2 Case 4, which stored all the weapons in it.
Yeah, I didn't remember there being just firearms. I recall there being poisons and, well, there's one bucket of melee weapons too.
Yeah.
And wasn't it the final dead room by name?
Yes, that was it. I was trying to search for the name.
So, how do you like the introduction of weapons? Because he's got a freaking bazooka.
Depends. Like, we don't know which ones they're going to be picking out. So I guess we'll see how this is integrated. My theory is that maybe they'll go more for the melee ones because they don't know how to handle guns, and they don't really. I'm not sure we're going to be sitting around for months training with them. So
Then again, I'm not sure they'd be able to do much good with a melee weapon, seeing as they're kids.
Yeah, and to be fair, I'm guessing that they'll pick out something light, given that they're gonna be traveling and they're gonna try to avoid
Stealth.
danger rather than face it.
Yeah. Like, I can understand why this is here, because, I mean, they're fighting against demons, they're gonna need some help. But I'm also kind of wary of this becoming an action thing. I'm just hoping they take something light and don't use it too much.
I don't know if without a time skip, if this could become an action series. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think that too. But I do like other parts of the chapter, like them thinking weaknesses for this guy psychologically, like how can they keep him in the leash? Otherwise he might just, turn on them the moment they're out of sight and just, okay, gonna shoot you two now, and then I'll go back saying you two died somewhere else.
so why is Billy Bob Thénardier afraid of a cop?
I don't think he's afraid of the cop, more like he's afraid they're just gonna smash it.
Okay. Why is he afraid that they're gonna smash it?
That's probably got something to do with his past, because this is the same cup he was holding while binging on cookies, even though it has a hole in it, so it's probably precious to him for some reason.
I'll be back in a minute. So yeah. Wait.
Yeah, we'll
so
keep
wait.
going.
I don't really have much else to comment on this chapter, unfortunately. Again, sets up kind of an interesting mystery. I'm looking forward to seeing what ends up happening on this journey, what he's alluding to. Not really much else to say, though.
Yeah, I do also like the kind of humor that it had with the kids and him telling them rules and break these rules, I'll kill you. Bring up King up. Oh God, no!
we can threaten him with anything in the house. As a side tangent, until Wensleydale gets back, I might as well bring up that I started Danganronpa 3. I've only finished the prologue, so I just have first impressions of it. Me and my friend, because he always watches with me while I play. We like all the male cast, but most of the female cast we're not really sold on yet. But of course, that's all subject to change because it's just the prologue. We just got the initial introductions out of the way. So the only ones we really like are the artist girl and the pianist.
Really?
Who's the main
Because
one?
the artist girl, if you mean Angie, right?
Yes.
She's the one I most hate. Like,
Really?
yeah.
I'm just talking first impressions here, so
Yeah, that might change. And I'll say
yeah.
right now
Are you
that
talking about Danganronpa or are you talking about the Promised Neverland?
Well, I ran out
Danganronpa.
of things to say about Promised
Okay,
Neverland.
but
Yeah, I was going to talk
I've
about
heard
it,
the-
but
I've
if
heard
he
the
wasn't gonna
pianist-
listen, then
Yeah.
Sorry, you say what you think about this.
oh.
So
Yeah.
I've heard the pianist guy, and I was thinking you were talking about Nat, the one with the nose. So I was yeah. Which, by the way, yeah. Why don't people think about elegant nose lines? I can relate.
Anyway, I was going to mention the chapter when Billy Bob goes to his crazy room. That just got a little character development just from what he says. Like, you guys are a good little family, and I hate good little families. I want you to get lost right now. And it feels like it was his choice. Like, he made some decision when they were doing something, and that got everyone else killed. So, good chance of survivor's guilt being a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's where it's I think that's the direction it's going as well.
Okay. It looks like Dr. Nova's going to join us for the last two.
Yay!
For the last two series, so you might actually have someone to talk about, talk with about We Never Learn, Milo.
That's good. That's good.
And I'll just mention before we leave Promised Neverland that this feels like minor return to form, where they're thinking strategically, like, how do we turn this situation to be safer for us? Because we cannot really trust this guy, but we need him. So we need to have ammo to manipulate him.
Yeah, it's good that they have some tangible human flaws that they need to be wary of. That just it isn't just the demons, and that's I'm still. I'm still looking for some internal conflict because I think that may be the element that's most missing from the days in the orphanage. But I like that this chapter gave some of the peripheral characters more personality, particularly in the dynamic between Ray and Gilda.
Yeah.
As she just scolds him for using the kids to experiment with Billy Bob Thénardier.
I just realised I think I might have called Ray Norman by accident earlier. Whoops.
Oh, I didn't realise.
You notice. Yeah. And I'm just hoping the guns won't completely shift this, but I do get that they need some. Just a whole room of guns like that might be a little overkill.
Yeah, I mean, like, the last example I can think of modern elements suddenly being brought into a fantasy-ish survival series was Attack on Titan, and I have very mixed thoughts on that development.
I mean, this is
the-
hardly fantasy-ish. That's just
Uh,
we have had low access to any kind of
I mean,
technology, but
it's not
we've known that it's out there.
I don't know. It's not high fantasy, but I'd still describe it as fantasy.
Yeah, but we've known that technology is a thing from the start.
Yeah.
We just haven't had access to it because, well, I doubt in a farm where they raise kids for cattle, they just have guns available for the kids. Like, well, we want to give them a fighting chance. Makes more fun that way, and, you know, it's just fair for them. We're gonna eat you, but we're gonna give you a pistol to defend yourself.
Yeah. All right. If we're done with this, are we?
I guess we are.
Yeah. Because I was going to suggest that before we move on, just so that I'm not doing 2 series in one go, I could maybe quickly mention the new Jumpstart. I won't take too long with it because there's not much to say.
Wait, is there a new Jumpstart?
Oh yes, there is. It's called Lycopene, the Tomatoy. It's strange. The art style is. I'll post an image of it to you guys. The art style is very. It reminds me of like Hello Kitty, which threw me off a bit first until I realized that it was in fact. It wasn't quite gearing solely towards little kids. It's about this girl called Mei Mei who like travels into this sort of fantasy world with loads of little cute animals, and the main one is this animal called Lycopene, who's like a little tomato-based poodle. And like the whole gag of it is that they're constantly making these like pop culture references at each other and kind of these weird meta jokes. It didn't, and like basically the gist is that she just interacts with the end. She's still in touch with Lycopene, but yeah, the humor just didn't really do anything for me, so I'm probably not going to be continuing this series.
Oh my god,
chapter.
I love this from the image you've sent, because I love that they have to specify that, yes, this is still Jump.
Yeah, I did like that. But yeah, I kind of chuckled at a couple of jokes, but it didn't really land with me, and I think in a comedy series that's important. So yeah. Not really the biggest fan.
Have you managed to read it, Greil, or hasn't it been?
I didn't even know it was coming, so
yeah,
I didn't read it.
I think I've seen the image on a cover that was included in the One Piece chapter for me, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a new series. They're doing another set of Jump arts. There's a new series coming out next week. Forgotten what it's called. But yeah, they're doing one used to.
Hello.
Hopefully, one of the new ones is good. Nova. We're just waiting for Nova to come and join.
Okay. I think your mic may be muted, Nova.
Well, it is now.
Wait, did I say Hovin with an H again in the introductions?
Yeah, you said Hovin.
Ah, I was supposed to say Dr. Hovin.
Oh no, that was a thing related to Trial by Guilty Crown. I don't really mind what you call me here, but you know, either works.
It's okay. It's better for branding that way. I just hope that people don't confuse you and Nova.
Yeah.
Even so, what people? Anyway, shall we move on to We Never Learn? Speaking of people, let's move on to We Never Learn.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to recap We Never Learn plans well for some Dr. Stone in the middle, but it's okay. It's not a problem. So yeah, in this week's We Never Learn, we picked together the two characters that I've kind of had the most mixed feelings. It's a chapter involving both the teacher and also the new girl, terribly keen on Asumi. So yeah, the teacher's name being Kirisu. We have a really cute cover page with all of the girls dressed up in like Halloweeny outfits. You got Furuhashi in a witch outfit. Agata as a mummy, and then you got Uruka as kind of a demon. And so basically,
Well,
the gist of the
it kind
chapter.
of makes sense, yeah, if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, and then they have like they do the little where on the page they have a little skit relating to the cover page, and it's like it's really like you find out that Yuiga sewed them all the costumes himself, which is quite sweet.
Oh,
But anyway,
they're taking advantage of him even though he's poor.
oh, he's such a cinnamon roll. Anyway, the chapter itself, basically, Kirisu is on her way back, and all a bunch of fellow teachers are like, "God, she's such a mystery. She must be this classy, elegant woman." And in her head, she's just like, "Oh, I can't. God, I hate this kind of vibe. I can't wait to go out home and change into sweatpants." Just basically summing up her character. And then she runs into Yuiga on his way to the maid cafe and is like, "What are you doing?" But then Asumi comes along and explains what is going on, how basically she's working here and he is assisting her with schoolwork, and she's still not sold on it, and they're kind of like, doing the thing where one of them pulls Yuiga's arm, the other pulls his other, and they happen to knock over one of the other maids and sprain her ankle. So now Kirisu has to fill in her place for a day, so we have to have the teacher be a maid for the day.
Oh, lovely.
And yeah, it's one of those scenarios. You get a shot where she's blushing, pretending to do the whole maid thing, but she's doing it to Yuiga, so it feels like kind of a fan servicey moment towards him, which never really works with this character. Then we have
the panel where Yuika's glasses just burst.
that is quite really funny. She gets they're like, "Okay, you're not actually going to do any of that stuff. You're going to get you to clean." But then she's really clumsy. But that in and of itself is actually appealing to the people in the cafe because it's like an archetype that they like. But eventually we transition away from that and we go more into the stuff to do with studying and how she Asumi, because Asumi used to be Kirisu's pupil, and she explains how having her oppose her like really helped her it helped her drive to really study more. So I guess that's a nice note to end the chapter on, and then we just go back to Kirisu just being like a completely like useless. She's like a huge lightweight, and Yuiga has to carry her home, and she's just like layering on compliments, just like, "Oh, you wear glasses. That's so responsible. You can walk on two legs, and you can feed yourself, and you're so good at breathing." She's just this massive pushover, and she's drunk. So, yeah, I think Karisu, I'm of two minds on her. On one hand, I quite like her shtick. I just don't think she's right for this series. Because the problem is
if she weren't the teacher.
Yeah. Or if the series weren't about Yuiga, if it was like about her and some co-workers of the same age, I'd be a bit more down with it. But it's just the fact that she is the teacher that makes all of the antics and kind of the harem baiting with her just not really sit right. I think she has her moments. I just think she's a bit misplaced here.
Yeah, I get you.
And yeah,
I've caught up to chapter 32 and 33, and I was actually surprised. I kind of like Kominami as a character, despite you saying, from your recaps, I gathered she was kind of a mixture of several harem tropes. When
I am very biased.
when she kind of isn't. I have no problem with her.
I think it's just a matter of preferences. This isn't. I don't really have much issue with the way she is written. Just an archetype. She's just not really an archetype that I get into. It's not really a criticism of the series' characterization of her per se.
I wouldn't say she's an archetype. She seems like an archetype at all, but yeah.
I guess that is the series' strength. Like I use the term traits. Like none of the girls really feel like they fit too snugly into a set template. They all have a nice mixture of traits.
Yeah, that's fair. So,
You done?
Yeah.
Then let's move on to Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone, Dr. Stone. Chapter 30. Death Green. With an awesome color cover page.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it does lose a lot of points because we clearly see Kohaku's underwear.
I'm just wondering, is that a reference to? Oh god, what was it called? Okay, is Kohaku Scarlett Johansson?
Scarlett Johansson from what?
What was it called?
Lucy?
Eh?
Either way, that
Under the
skull
Skin?
face and the hands, skeletal hands grasping around Senku are just awesome. And the green tinting that goes with the chapter really gives it the unique look.
It's very fitting with the content of the chapter itself. The one thing I will just say, this is a really weird. It's not even a peeve, just kind of a thing. I always imagine Kohaku having pink hair. Like I never expect her to have the blonde hair, blue eyes look. So it's always jarring when I see her in these color pages. Like if her and Reiju from One Piece could just swap hair colors, just for my peace of mind.
Yeah, I never thought of Kohaku having pink hair myself.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I think it's just because she reminds me a bit of a character called Machi from Hunter x Hunter, who has a similar kind of look and hairstyle.
Ghost in the
and
Shell.
Does have pink hair.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. Right.
Never saw it, so.
So is that cover page a reference to it, or isn't it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I don't really see any of that.
I think it's just I think the outfit's slightly scaly, and it's got little claws, but I don't think it's Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, a little dog the grasp of death, but I think this cover page would have worked better if it was just Senku with that half skull and the skeletal hands around him.
Or if maybe like Kohaku's involvement had tied into the skeleton thing as well.
Yeah, now she seems like she's just there for fan service.
Yeah, she's just there for the cheesecake.
Anyway, the chapter itself. So, this is kind of a badass chapter because they're trying to get sulfuric acid. And the spear that was made last time, it's just a warning signal. So, if it turns black, they're about to die. They gotta get the hell away.
I love it that we have Ginrou's little arc that, to be fair, still didn't make him anything but a comedic character. Still, it's hilarious, so I can't complain.
Yeah. I also love the imagery of that beautiful green spring, which might have worked better if this was in color, because we can't really tell this apart from any other water.
It seems
but
that...
it being...
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's being represented by this heavenly angel goddess thing, but when they get closer, it just becomes that grotesque, like zombie at first, and then just skeletal.
I do like the use of that of Ginrou's, or is it Ginrou? I think this is Ginrou, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
in Ginrou's hallucination. lake as an extended metaphor for the lake. That's
I'm
really
not
cool.
I'm not sure
It's
whether this is a
hallucination,
hallucination or it's just his very vivid imagination. So as he
I think it's just
as
more
he
like a
imagines that
visual
Milo girl.
metaphor in drawn form.
Also,
And it-
on
Yeah?
on the page where Senku is saying you've only got a few seconds before you're dead, he's giving Eizan a run for his money in terms of best facial expression of the week.
Yeah, but he's not bizarre or anything. It's just the shading on his face that works really well. And it drives home how serious this is, especially when we see it later. Like, Bird just goes a little into the green area where the spear turned black, and boom, dead. Like, sulfuric acid apparently is really fucking dangerous in nature.
Yeah, and because of that, we have another development coming up for Senku and Chrome's relationship.
Yeah, so where do you guys think this is going to go? Because is he just going to stand there and just like lecture to him all of the little facts about human science, human scientific discovery? Like,
I don't know.
Just
This
in one
this will
night?
be kind of a repeat because it seems like we've already done this, although maybe not to this extent.
Yeah, well, this is to the extent of like, I might die there, and with me would go all the scientific knowledge. So I'm gonna have to give it to you, Chrome.
Yeah,
Maybe it would be more logical that Senku not go, seeing as how he has all that knowledge, but then again, he is a good enough guy that he wouldn't just want others to risk themselves for his stuff. And he has the best chance of, getting that sulfuric acid out of there, since only he knows how to handle it.
yeah. I'm just wondering how it's gonna be portrayed, how it's going to be made awesome, like Inagaki does with everything else in this manga.
Well, it's better to just wonder, because we have enough trust in Dr. Stone that he will pull it off, because when has he ever let us down?
Yeah, true. Although I've said the same about Kaio Shirai earlier, so. And then it's kind of. Well. It wasn't as good to me as it was before, so I'm just wondering how it's going to go from now.
By the way, do either of you know if the story about those people going in a sulfuric acid area and one of them kneeling down to tie his shoes that died, have either of you heard it before?
I don't know, but
I wonder if this is a true story.
Yeah, I've heard that it is based on a true story. Yeah, it's quite sad.
Yeah, and this really does drive home just how dangerous what they're doing. Even Senku says, like, we can't just test these gas masks for trial run. Here, error means death.
Okay. One thing I'm still wondering about is what's the position of Ginrou's going to... what is it going to be in Senku's kingdom? Maybe I have a theory that... to me, it seemed like he was the only one imagining this valley as the Milo girl. So maybe with that he's going to become the artist of Senku's kingdom.
I think he'll just become the clown, the guy they keep around because he's so funny.
The
Maybe
Valley of the
laugh
Milo
at
girl.
Yeah, I'm just wishing for some development, but I'm happy for the humor we get.
Yeah, I think Ginrou so far is just supposed to be the butt monkey character. Maybe he'll be developed in the future, but I'm just really not seeing it. At least not yet.
Well, if so, I don't think I will be a fan of this character, because I don't like when a character is just used for comedy. Oh. But
I don't know. I think it's you never know. I think a lot of the time you get characters very comedic, serious kind of affirming chapter. Like an example is like there's a character in Hunter x Hunter called Icalgo. He's introduced in a much later arc, and at first he's kind of a goofy, like little octopus guy, kind of mascot. But then he gets put into a very serious and tense fight with another character where we see kind of another dimension to him. So there's always a chance.
Yeah, this is the kind of storytelling that I like, but I would dislike if he were just to be ignored. But I'm, as you said, Greil, I still have faith in Inagaki that he can make this. He can make him important, or at least feel important. So, is that all we have to say about Dr. Stone?
Yeah, I think I've said enough about how much I love this chapter. Like, I love almost every chapter.
Okay, so I think this will be all for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We're still trying to establish a weekly schedule for this semester, but we'll get back to you. This time, 8 o'clock Polish time seems to be the most likely candidate at the moment, but we'll have to see how this fares with Joan and Castor. So you can follow me on Twitter at Winsley Cheddar for updates on the stream, on Penganta, Well Triggered, Friendly Faces Everywhere, Iffy Reviews, and many other projects. Follow Milo at Hovin with an H for anime waifus, Cabal hijinks, Cabal cast, which is definitely coming, guys, definitely. And Trial by Guilty Crown, a podcast he does with Castor. Follow Greil at Nuclear Android for gaming tweets and world conquest. Be sure to visit our One Piece RP forum, or One Dream Adventure Reborn, to write some lovely stories with other people at the moment. And talk about manga in general. odar.comforums.com is the address. Anything else to say, guys?
Yeah, your Trial by Guilty Crown is going to...
Hello?
So recently... Hello? Yeah?
You cut out.
Cut out for a moment.
Oh yeah, no. Trial by Guilty Crown is going very smoothly. I just uploaded an episode pretty recently, and I've got another one already recorded, ready to go. So I just need to get to editing that. We're nearly at the halfway point of the series, and we're going to be doing an extra long special to get through the bulk of the last arc of that half, which should involve a lot of very interesting things. I said pretty stupid stuff, as you'd expect, but yeah, look forward to that.
Okay.
And I would like to remind people that video gaming is at a turning point. So don't buy scum-sucking games that try to push microtransactions in single player like Shadow of War. Buy great games like A Hat in Time.
Or get Shadow of War secondhand if you find it, which is what I'm probably going to do.
So not really an option.
And
don't buy that shit.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna say that my throat still hurts. So, alright then. Once again, cheers for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care.